of the NFL season. Hard to believe that it is already here. Some years the NFL season just flies by. Other years it kind of grinds through. This year I think has been a grinder for me. It's just everything else, that kind of gets thrown in there. And I just think college basketball just came in really hot this year. So, there was always the Maui Invitational, but that was kind of like a day off for us, like a week off for us. Now it's like there's 20 tournaments, and then now this whole everyone plays everybody out of conference thing, now all of a sudden we care. UConn playing Gonzaga on a Friday night when there's no other games going on of any substance. It just never ends. In the NBA, now that they have the in-season tournament, less games over the course of that week, it's just going to push things bigger on other weeks. At least I guess. But the NFL, full steam ahead. And how many starting quarterbacks are even left at this point?
All right.
I think,
very good question.
I'd say less than half. I think that the passing rules lead to quarterback injuries. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. There's more quarterback injuries since the new passing rules and the rules to protect the quarterback. There's been more quarterback season-ending injuries than ever. Because what they do is they make it so you can't play pass defense anymore. The defensive back has no play whatsoever. So the only chance they have is to rush these quarterbacks, make them basically throw it up as a 50-50 ball, and then you just get these really fast guys that can jump really high to play cornerback and try and be basically a center fielder and intercept the football. It's the only chance you have if you don't get to the quarterback and sack them. And there's probably more sacks than there's ever been because everybody rushes on every single play. It's like sandlot football.
So there's 20 starting quarterbacks, but that's also including those that have missed significant time that are currently in. Basically, I just kind of went through and tried to do it quickly.
But there's guys that have missed time, and I'm going to guess starting quarterbacks have missed a lot of time this year.
Correct.
But anyways, we've got a lot of football this week. We've got Saturday football, we've got Sunday football, we got Thursday football, and Monday night football. And we're locked and loaded. Al, you think it's harder to handicap these games when you sometimes don't know who's starting at quarterback? Or
for me, no. For other people, possibly. I mean,
because there's going to be line movement, possibly, right?
The thing is with the NFL, you've got 7 days. It's a lot different than, for example, the NBA when it's all congested in a 6-hour, 8-hour time period, and you're trying to handicap an NBA game like last night. Is LeBron James going to play against the Spurs? Is he not going to play? Right, and the line's bouncing between 2.5 and 3.5, and ends up landing on 3. LeBron ended up not playing. So I think the NBA is fraught with difficulty because of all the player absences, but I don't find that to really be the case with the NFL. There's enough time to prepare, and there's enough time to get the games out. So.
Well, we got right down the street from me, we got the Raiders and the Chargers going at it. Right now I'm showing the Raiders threes mostly across the board here, -3, 42.5. I have a 3.5 at Pinnacle. I think that's the only 3.5 I see. I don't keep too many books up here.
That is the only 3.5. Yeah.
So Al usually keeps a few more books than I do, I think.
Yeah, I've got about 35 books on my screen.
I just can't track that many. It's too much.
Yeah.
I'm seeing heavy juice on a lot of these threes also. At the win, we got -120, but Golden Nugget, it's 0, right? It's just no vig. And then Atlantis -120. So, I don't know. 2 backup quarterbacks. What do you think, Al?
Yeah, I mean, I look at where the line was prior to last week's games, before the injuries, and the over-under line on this game was projected to be 42.5. So obviously the number's been significantly adjusted downward. I just think the adjustment's been too severe. So I like the over in this game. And, you have the two teams coming off exceptionally low scoring games, and NFL games have gone over the total 59% if both teams' previous games did go under, and each of the two teams scored less than 10 points in those games, as did the Raiders and the Chargers last week. So take it over.
Jay?
Lean towards the Las Vegas Raiders. They're at home, at the crib. O'Connell's he's the backup, but he's more seasoned. He's been in there longer this season. I think the Raiders have more star players on their team currently. Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and company. This Chargers offense was struggling with Herbert in there, and so I definitely think it's a drop off here. It's Raiders here for me. Raiders or nothing. I can't. Staley can't get it done with Herbert. Now we expect him to get it done with. Nah, can't do it. Won't do it. Me Vegas at home.
I'm taking the Raiders as well. I just think the Chargers are done, and I think Kellen Moore probably does become the interim head coach, but I don't think he ever sheds the interim title. I think this could be Staley's last hurrah. And, I guess what happens in Vegas will stay in Vegas, and that'll be Brandon Staley. Probably won't be on the plane back with his team and players, my guess.
Big Al, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What are the chances Bill Belichick coaches the Los Angeles Chargers next year?
Huh. I don't know. I mean, I'm not Bill's wife. I have no idea, what she's going to say.
Could you see it happening, though? Boston moving to the West Coast, L.A. You got a great quarterback, still kind of chasing the record,
Yeah, I mean, I could see anything. I mean, is that the rumor?
I'm starting the rumor.
You're starting the rumor? Hey, why not? Why not?
Nah, it's just because the rumor out there right now is that he's done in New England after this season. That's the rumor.
Yeah.
So
I don't see any reason for him to go on. Usually guys like that take a year off, at least, while I think about it.
Can you imagine how they could offer him so much money to go into the TV booth?
Maybe he goes to the Raiders.
I can see him doing the TV booth. He was doing the TV booth last week. What was that? RV game? Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the Raiders?
I don't know if Vegas is his speed.
I mean, I mean, where's Harbaugh going to end up? Is he, there's people are talking about him with the Raiders or him with the Chicago Bears.
I can see. We'll see.
I could see him with the Bears.
I kind of can too.
Got the Vikings and the Bengals.
Saturday football.
Yep, Saturday football. The Bengals, I don't know, someone forgot to tell them their season was over. They're playing hard, kind of regrouping. It took them a couple weeks, to get it back together, but they are getting it back together. And then, the Vikings, another coach, another job that's going to be available. Those lovely Minnesota winters going to be a hard selling point. I mean, I don't know where you go with Minnesota, who would be the head coach. I mean, could you go to a PJ Fleck like in college football or,
Nah, what's the name? He's going to keep his job. He's solidified. There's no chance they're firing him.
In Minnesota?
Yeah, no. It's only his second season. They're still relevant. They minus their franchise quarterback.
I would be surprised if he got fired.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I don't know. I think he's good.
Got the vote of confidence. What do you think of this game, Jay?
I think I'm definitely going to be watching this over. What's the bowl game going on at this time in college football?
There's a few.
There's like 5 of them.
Yeah, there's 6 bowl games Saturday, but this game, opened at 4 for the Bengals at most places, and it's down to 3 at most places. A little heavier on the juice at 3, but still a full point nonetheless.
Yeah, it's Bengals for me here. I'm jumping on the Jake Browning train. Jake Brr. He done earned it, man. He kinda is in there, kind of looking Burrow-esque.
So Burrow's a system QB.
He might
Just the
be, man.
system.
He might be. Or either that or Cincinnati hit gold twice. And which one sounds more likely? So I don't know. Browning's playing really well, though. I'm just, I love me some Joe Burrow, but Browning's playing.
I think the quarterback position is overrated. I've said it for a long time. I do, and that that's my whole Florida State argument. It's like the quarterback position is way overrated, in grand scheme of things.
I'm taking Cincinnati here at home at the crib. Minnesota, they're not even starting my guy Dobbs. They done bench my guy Dobbs. Yeah, nah, can't do it. Won't do it. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm with Jay on the Bengals. I'm not with Jay thinking that Minnesota doesn't make a move at head coach. But I think the Bengals get it done here. The Bengals are just one of the best December teams in the NFL. I mean, that really is what it comes down to, is that you could call a system QB, not system QB, but the whole team rises to the occasion in December, and that's a really, really good coach. So Zach Taylor probably way underestimated in the grand scheme of things, because in the crunch time, and his team's been relevant going in, he's gotten it done every single time, and I think they do again.
Can't argue with any of that, but I am going to take the Vikings, mainly because they only got 3 points last week, and road teams are 89 and 50 ATS. If they didn't score more than 3 points in the previous game, and now they're playing a non-division foe, and they're getting single digits rather than double digits. So I'll take them plus a 3, but yeah, Cincinnati's the best late season team, and Zach Taylor's great, but still 3 points.
Colts against the Steelers. This line has dropped a little bit. Opened at 2.5. Now we're seeing 1.5s and 1s pretty much across the board. There's a pick 'em out there with real heavy juice on it. The Colts.
That coach.
Yeah, those Colts. That Colts, man. I don't like the way the Steelers are playing. I mean, it's hard to say that Mike Tomlin's not going to make the playoffs again, but Mike Tomlin's not going to make the playoffs again. It's like he just doesn't have the guns. Is he the GM and the coach?
No.
Yeah, so the GM is going to be fired in Pittsburgh is what's going to happen.
I got rid of the OC already, man.
Well, it's the GM.
They were looking, they were looking good. What were they, 7-4 with games against Arizona and New England coming up? Like
that Arizona was a bad loss.
Yes. New England's a bad loss too. I think I understand Arizona. Hey, we'll talk about them a little bit. But New England?
Yeah. But I mean, that was a, what was a 2 touchdown loss to Arizona? That's a bad loss.
Yeah. We also seen Arizona thump the best team in football too, so I'm not surprised.
Just don't remember them playing the Dolphins.
I'm going to take Indianapolis here. They do very well off losses over the years, and they're 35-10 ATS off a straight up loss if they failed to cover the spread in that previous game by 8 or more points. So, losing by 20 last week to Cincy, bounce back for Indy. I'm going to take Indy minus 1.5.
Taking Pittsburgh here. I am. And the reason I am is because of Mike T, man. And that's it. Short, sweet, simple. I'm taking Mike T in a bounce back spot, season on the line, everything on the table. Going up against a team who I think these two teams on a neutral site, it's a pick 'em game, even. We got a first-year head coach going up against a coach that's been here, done that. I think they can get the run game going here. We saw Cincinnati kind of do that last week. Joe Mixon had a nice week. If they can stay ahead of the chains, Pittsburgh should win this football game. Indy has been a nice story this season. They have, they thought, who would have thought Indy was going to be here, especially when Anthony Richardson went down. But I think this is a bounce back spot for a Hall of Fame head coach and his team. I'm taking the Steelers to keep their season alive.
Hall of Fame, really?
Yeah, Mike T's for solidified Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I guess maybe.
I think so. I think he's solidified Hall of Fame. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable saying that.
Okay.
I'm taking that Colts. If I can't get my guts ripped out, a couple more weeks by the Colts, I don't want.
Is it even worth bidding?
Really, time to pack it in. They're gonna make me sweat, but the Steelers are terrible, man. They're terrible. You have infighting going on. Najee Harris acts like he's a real running back or something. You're a 30-yard game guy, man, is what you are. Don't even pretend you're not. They got one guy that can play football in the whole, three guys, maybe four, that can play football on the whole freaking team. It's like they got one wide receiver. He's the only guy who can play offense at all. And then you have, T.J. Watt and a couple other guys there in defense, and that's it. Minka Fitzpatrick when he's healthy. That's it. Here's an interesting one up next. Broncos and the Lions. This one's at Detroit. The Lions' season is falling apart before their very eyes. This is, they're going down faster than, Al McMorty's Chargers futures bet.
not that fast. That futures bet was in flames after about week 6.
I haven't seen a beatdown like this since Al's futures on the Chargers.
Well, I've got my Boston Celtics and Purdue Boilermakers futures bets looking
Celtics
pretty good.
Celtics is a loser. Purdue.
That Celtics one might be all right, and then I don't know about the Purdue. You should have had the Purdy in. The Purdy might have been able to. He ain't gonna do it.
Micah, he probably won't do it.
Micah, who I do business with, and you guys have seen on the videos. He was here this week in Vegas, and he has the Brock Purdy ticket. The initial Brock Purdy. He has 2 MVP tickets. It was Brock Purdy, and because I asked him because he has all these future bets out there, and the same thing in college football. He's got actually a future bet on Texas to win the national championship, big one. And I always ask him how many he takes. At the beginning, but it's always 2 that he takes. So I forget who the other guy he has besides Purdy, but he's definitely not in it. It's not Dak. It's not McCaffrey. And then the other one that he has Texas, and his other pick was Oregon. So he just missed on that one for the playoff. He could have had half the playoff teams at the better prices.
Yeah, I don't believe in doing more than one futures. I just do one.
Well, these guys are also the same people that play in that $50,000 DraftKings like our Circa contest where you pick 5 a week. DraftKings has one for 50,000 entry. These are the guys that enter that, so that's what they do. I know the guys in first, second, and third place in the DraftKings. Pretty amazing. Well, there was only 19 entries. It's $1 million guaranteed, so it's 500,000 for first. But there's only 19 entries at 50,000. Every one of the people that's in there is a professional. Every single one of them. So Dave Miller, who you guys have seen on the show, he's in second or third. Micah, I believe, is in second, and Ant De La Rosa, he's I think in first right now. So those guys are winning. I'm excited to have Ant on. We're going to do a series with him, and he's excited to do it this time around. So he was the odds maker at Pinnacle and BetCris, so he knows his stuff. That is not an easy job.
So what do you guys think about Denver and Detroit?
I think I'm going to take Denver for the first time all season. That's what I think.
Wow.
I'm done with the Lions. I think they're done with themselves. I think they're sick of themselves. I don't understand what they're doing there. We knew that their head coach wasn't great, but he kind of had that rah-rah thing going on, but that seems to not get them anywhere. They're not playing good enough defense to play December football. And, the deeper you get into the season, when defense and running the football are everything, we're not even hearing, St. Brown anymore or any of those names. They have a two-headed monster at running back, but it's not getting it done because they're not stopping anybody.
I just look at it a little bit differently. I look at, I think Detroit's doing fine. I just also look at who they were playing. I mean, they played the Chicago Bears in 2 out of their last 3 games. I mean, that was a horrible scheduling spot last week to have a quick turnaround against a division rival, 2 or 3 games after you just beat them. So I kind of give Detroit a pass there.
Oh, not Justin Fields twice in 3 weeks.
No, it's not that, but it's that it's a division game, and the other team game they lost to Green Bay, another division game. Yeah, this is a non-division game. I think it's tougher, for Detroit to maybe beat those division teams twice. So that's all I'm saying. They lost to Green Bay in the revenge spot. They lost to Chicago in the revenge spot. I think Detroit's still a good team, and now I think Denver's in the bad scheduling spot. This is Denver's 3rd straight road game. So I'm going to take Detroit minus points.
I'm on the Lions too. I'm laying it. It's here's why. It's the Lions in a bounce back spot at home in prime time. Everybody talking bad about them like they ain't been good all season long. And they're good. Like the Lions, man, the Lions ain't never been this good at this time of season. And now they got a home playoff game Saturday night. Everybody tuned in. Man, they finna beat the brakes off the Broncos. And everybody gonna jump back on and be like, oh, the Lions. We know who they are. They're fraud. The Jared Goff is still their quarterback. They're not going very far. But in the grand scheme of things, this is still a magical season. It's going to be a magical night. Bounce back. Detroit, win comfortably.
All right. Go to Sunday NFL football. And let's see. These bowl games. So the games that Jay's going to miss there is the Jacksonville State UL Lafayette game, Miami of Ohio against App State, and possibly some of Fresno, New Mexico.
That might be an okay game. That's an okay game right here.
Now these
there's an 11 a.m. game too, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Georgia Southern Ohio.
That'll be a peach. Got this is the argument for the expanded playoffs, right? We got the Falcons against the Panthers. These AFC South or NFC South teams just seem to only play each other in recent weeks. The Panthers once again getting shellacked. I went through Charlotte Airport recently. I was going to get Jay a Panther shirt since he's it's his team. Jay's Panthers are your Patriots, Al. I don't know if you've noticed that on the show, but he's taking the Panthers almost every week. And the Falcons, once again, they're Saturday NFL, but they play on Sunday, so it's actually at Carolina, so there's no Chick-fil-A in play here. Al, what do you think? Panthers or?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about this game, I mean, Pinnacle often stands alone from the market, right? Pinnacle's the only 3.5. Everywhere else is 3. There's a number of NFL games like that this week where Pinnacle's standing alone apart from the market. It's doing it in the Rams-Commanders game as well. It's at 6 where everyone else is at 6.5. It's at 2.5 in the Dallas-Buffalo game. Everyone else is at 2. you know.
They
Same
consider
thing also.
themselves to be, they're considered to be one of the sharpest books out there.
The sharpest, yeah. I mean, they're 8.5 on the Kansas City New England game instead of 7.5. So there's about 4 or 5 games on Sunday where Pinnacle's just.
We could have you on
right?
with Ant, and I think you'd really like him. I think you guys would hit it off. It's like,
but yeah, as far as this game goes, I'm taking the Panthers. It's late in the season. You've got a Panther team playing horribly, of course. But if you get a home underdog late in the season off 3 or more losses, those teams have gone 95 and 60 ATS versus sub 666 opponents. I can't lay points on the road with the Falcons. They've covered just 10 of 29 as road favorites. So, yeah, I'll take the 3.
Jay, back on the horse.
I can't do it, Mitch. I can't do it. They've been beating me up. Big Al, man, they've been beating me up, man. Just throwing me every which way, man. Just don't respect my coin, man. I really thought last week was the week. I was talking big shit on the morning show about them Panthers last week, man. They got dead in. I don't want to lay it with the Falcons either. I'm gonna just do the logical thing and just take the under. 2 division teams, 2 teams who offensively have had their struggles all season long. I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. Bryce Young, what did he have? Like 7 completions last week? Yeah, not good. That's not offensive football. I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. I like the under here. Panthers, Falcons.
Falcons for me. The Panthers just straight ass. They are just so bad at it. I can't even go anywhere near them. I was doing some calculations. That's what I was doing here. I'm trying to figure out because I'm going to think about cashing in some Bitcoin and then betting all the bowl games while I'm out here. My cost basis on my Bitcoin though is $285. So I'm going to get hammered in taxes. I got it at $285. It's $42,940. 73 cents, man. That's unbelievable.
That's called a nice problem to have.
Do you remember when the books initially, the offshore books started paying in Bitcoin? So
yeah,
originally they sent these checks like through China. And then they started paying through Bitcoin. Instead, they stopped sending the checks. And I told them, I said, I don't want the Bitcoin. And they said, well, send us your Bitcoin account number so we can pay you. And I said, well, I don't want the Bitcoin. We agreed to a check. And they said, okay, send us your Bitcoin account number so we can pay you. So I sent them the thing. And I just, in protest, I never looked at it. And it just sat there and sat there and sat there. So my cost basis is $285.51, and I got a shit ton of it. It's
that's
no, that is insane. That's just
it's totally.
I way back when I thought about doing stuff like that, and I would always just convert it to cash.
Yeah, no, I had I even recognized of what it was and how it worked and wanted to know anything about it, I would have. I opened the Bitcoin account, I left it there, and I didn't look at it for years. And somebody said to me one day, oh man, did you hear about this Bitcoin and see how high it's gone? And I was like, holy shit, we're going to redo our kitchen.
Thank God you remembered your passcodes and all that stuff, and you were able to get it.
No, I have all that stuff. I send myself an email, with all my information. Yeah. So, I don't know. Whatever it is. Yeah. But it was like, I was just so stubborn about it. I was like, I don't want it. I don't, Now it's like, oh man, I love Bitcoins. I still don't really understand it at all. But it's like whenever I go to Vegas and hit the tables or whatever, I always use the Bitcoin. The money. I always just take a withdrawal. I probably have enough for the rest of my life for Vegas trips.
What's our next game? Is it Chicago, Cleveland?
I think so. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going down the line, the Don Best line here. So it's the Bears and the Browns. This is like old school game, right? The Browns are named after Paul Brown, and the Bears, well, George Hallis, I guess.
Yeah,
Papa Bear. Papa Bear was named after Chicago Bears.
That's true.
Bear down, Chicago Bears.
All right, where's my graphics? All right.
Double.
I got it confused with Paul Brown, Bengals and Browns. You know, when I was a kid, Paul Brown was the coach of the Browns. That's how old I am. I was telling Jay on our show the other day how whenever they showed Tom Landry on the sideline, he was always wearing a suit, and they always said, "This is the only coach the Dallas Cowboys have ever had." Jay's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Which is crazy, right? Because Tom Landry was an iconic figure in the NFL.
Yeah.
Got the Bears and the Browns.
I'm on the Browns in this one. Fields not going to have a good day against his Browns defense. They're not going for it. And Browns still playing meaningful football. Flacco actually ain't looking that bad enough to where they said he's the starter for the remainder of the season. He doesn't got to wreck the car, man. Just hand the football off, make the necessary throw, get in, get out. I think that's what the Browns do at home. The Bears are still a bad football team. I'm staying consistent with that all season long. Fake.
I got news for you, Jay. The Bears are really not that bad recently. 3-1 in their last 4. One of the best cover teams in recent weeks as well. And actually a really good road cover team this season. I think the Bears have everything going on in this one. And they're like just bad enough to screw up their draft choice positions. They still have the Panthers pick, but they could screw up their own pick. They're that kind of franchise. I like the Bears here. I like the momentum that they have. 3 divisional games in a row. They won. They lost the one against the Lions, the first one, but they covered in that one. Yeah, they covered against the Saints. I like the Bears all the way. I'm less than convinced in Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I'm going to run the other way, Mitch. You know, you just kind of mentioned why I like Cleveland. It's 3 division games in a row. I mean, they played great. They got covers as underdogs in those 3 division games. But teams off 3 dog covers versus division rivals, then when they play a non-division game, they suck. Only cover the spread 30.7% of the time. So I'm going to take Cleveland minus the points.
Up next, the game that Pete Axthelm used to call the Bay of Pigs.
Oh, there's a name from the past.
Yep, the Bears. So Jay, the Bucks and the Packers were terrible for a very, very long time. So it's Tampa Bay and Green Bay. They used to call it the Bay of Pigs game, and so that's what we have here. We got the Bucks and the Packers, the Bay of Pigs game. This one at Lambeau. I mean, Jordan Love, we bought in early on him, not too early. We got in, I think, we bought in right at the right time on this guy. We really timed the market perfectly on him, and it is still paying dividends. I have to say that if I don't cash in the Circa, it's not just going to be the Sean McVay meaningless field goal or the Saints doinking the field goal. It's going to be that Buccaneers-Falcons game from last week as well that's going to add to my misery. I'm still right there, but that game left a mark. It really, really hurt. Falcons had it won. Baker Mayfield driving them down the field. And the Packers losing to the Giants of all teams. I'm gonna roll with the Packers though at home at Lambeau. We all know that December at Lambeau, crazy things happen normally in the form of bad calls. They start running downhill, and that's it. I don't know if is Watson healthy for this one. No, he was out in that last game. Al, what do you think?
No, I'm just reminiscing about Pete Axum. That's what I'm thinking.
The axe.
Yeah, I mean, he died way too young. Um, he was one of my favorites.
Jay,
Didn't
all
he
the
write a
shows used to have handicappers on them, all the NFL shows, like these old
did
school
it did it did
handicappers.
didn't Axum did he write a gambling column for USA Today or
Yeah,
did
he
he?
did. He did.
Yeah, yeah, he was like when I was starting out as a young handicapper when I was 12, 13 years old. Like Pete Axum was the guy I used to like reading his stuff. Anyway, I like Green Bay here. Um, Off the upset road loss last week. Um, I think it's a really good bounce back spot for them. Um, Tampa Bay off an upset win, small underdog, but they were off an upset win. So I think it's just a reversal. I'll take Green Bay minus the points.
I'm on Tampa, man. Tampa. Tampa just keep covering spreads, bro. That's just what they do, and I'm not doubting them. Baker Mayfield getting it done, and I think they get it done at home this week as well. Packers, they look good there for a couple weeks, and then it's over. It's over. They're not good. Jordan Love's not good. They shouldn't be laying 3 in a hook. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Tampa's a live dog in this game, for all I'm concerned. Stop doubting Baker. Baker finna go in a Lambeau and get a win. I know it sounds crazy, but for all the hate that Baker has gotten, that's what I want y'all to do. Some homework for the audience. I want you to pull up Baker Mayfield's numbers in Cleveland, and then pull up Justin Herbert's numbers in Los Angeles. And you'll be thoroughly shocked. You will be thoroughly, and I'm talking about thoroughly shocked. Baker is nearly not as bad as people portray him to be.
Well, he was a number 1 overall pick.
Yes, and Herbert was what 2?
No,
you know what I mean?
5, 6.
Was he?
Yeah, he was actually the 3rd or 4th quarterback taken in the draft. Maybe right? He was so. Right. Joe Burrow went ahead of him. Tua went ahead of him. He was not even the first quarterback taken in his draft. The thing about Baker Mayfield's draft, though, in hindsight, he might have been the first quarterback taken in the number 1 overall pick. Look at all the other quarterbacks that were in that mix: Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold. Right? I mean, not a lot of meat on the bone there. Yeah. Lamar Jackson.
Baker, all right, man. I think he does enough here to really will his team to a win. But if they're gonna give me 3 in the hook, I'm gonna take it. Give me Tampa.
You love those Bucks. Love them. Titans against the Texans. The Titans pulling off one of the big upsets, big come from behinds that we've seen in a while. I don't know. The Texans looked punchless last week. Really as bad as they've looked all season. They were just every mistake you can make, every bad play you can make, everything against the Jets. They got hammered. They got pretty much woodshedded. Al, what do you think?
I like Houston. I talked about it last week. Houston has this dichotomy, right? Take them as an underdog, fade them as a favorite. It's not that hard. And they've been pretty reliable the whole season in those 2 roles. I played against Houston last week as a favorite. They're now 1-5 ATS as a favorite this season, but they're 5-2 ATS as an underdog. So take the points.
I don't even understand this line, man. I know Tennessee pulled out some reckless shit last week, but I think that was just more indicative of who the Dolphins are, more so than what Tennessee is. The Texans, I know they lost last week, man. It was a bad loss, but I think they bounce back here. They're the better team. Not overcomplicating this one. They're gonna get it. I think they make the postseason, to be honest. I do. I think they win this game. I'm taking the Texans.
I'm taking Tennessee at home. I think they learned something in that game. And I think this line, kind of just tells you everything you need to know. It's like they're begging you to take the Texans.
What's Stroud's status right now?
I'm not sure. Let's see what they say. They got the little injury thing on here, right?
I mean, I know he's questionable with concussion. I'm just curious where he is in the protocol.
Questionable. Who remains in NFL? He didn't practice Thursday, so today, as of 3 hours ago.
I mean, I think that's why the line is where it is.
Well, they have Davis Mills, right?
Yep, they're getting it done.
He's terrible.
He's all right.
He's all right.
He's all right.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
It's not bad.
For a backup, he all right.
We got the Saints and the Giants. The Giants quietly on a little winning streak here.
I've been on these boys, man. I'm loving the DeVito train.
Are you staying on it?
I'm staying on it too. I'm fading the Saints, fading their ass.
Faded them last week against the Panthers, and also bet them Panthers second half, and really one of the worst bets I've ever seen you make.
I know. You told me right to my face too that it was gonna be that.
I said that was a loser right when you were making it. I said, don't even bother.
You did.
Bryce Young, did you hear? Al, I know you don't really watch the games as much. You're not as much like Jay and I are game watchers. Did you see Bryce Young's having to catch Bryce Young's first half stats last week?
I did not. 3
of 15 for like 12 yards. It was a gruesome watch. It was like, and then his first completion of the second half was like for -7 or something. It wiped out half his game for the entire game.
Yeah, but the Giants, they're not the Panthers, you know. DeVito actually playing decently. I'm not laying 6 with the Saints. That was the premise pretty much last week. The Saints shouldn't be laying this amount of points on anybody. Saints are still one of the worst ATS teams in all of the NFL. Can't do it, won't do it. I really think, again, the Giants are live dogs in this one. I might be taking a lot of plus money dogs too this week. I think it's one of those type weeks, man, where it's like you either booming or you busting. And I'm here to win, not here to not lose. I'm taking the Giants. Money line.
Still a lot of players out here for the Saints, but looks like they should get Taysom Hill back for this one, and I think and Shaheed as well. I think the Saints should be good enough. I think the DeVito train probably comes to a little stop here, getting a lot of hype, and this guy gets sacked a lot. So I'm going to take the Saints at home. Al?
I'm going to join you. I agree with you, Mitch. I just think, it's time to hop off the Tommy DeVito train. It was a nice ride. They got their Monday night win on national TV. Huge letdown spot.
But is a letdown laying 6 with the Saints though? Like, no, it's not. It's not. Like, best case scenario for the Saints is 24-20.
Yeah, but they're begging for Saints action here. The Giants are the popular team. They're on the winning streak, and DeVito Mania is taking over the world. Not quite, it's Coach Prime type stuff.
But the thing is, we saw the Giants do this last year. They did. They were
Coach Prime will coach the Raiders.
It's just funny because this is the same Giants team that no one wanted a part of when they were a 9-point road underdog to the Washington Commanders. Remember that?
Man. You got Danny Dimes trash ass up out.
They were a 9-point road underdog to one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in football. That's how bad the Giants were, and now people are, moving their line over this.
On the train, man. The Italian train, man. I'm on it.
That's the big time rivalry game.
I love the hype train. I do.
The other New York team, the Jets, taking on the Dolphins. This is a big time rivalry game. I know a lot of people, they don't see it as such, but it is. It's one of the great ones for me because even when the Jets stink, everyone knows I have Dolphin season tickets. Never go to the games. So this is one of those games where basically this and the Patriots pay for my whole season. Just these selling tickets to these 2 games. Everything else is gravy. You got a good schedule like this year when we got the Cowboys or something. Bills, of course. Anyways, Dolphins and the Jets. The Dolphins 8.5-point favorites to bounce back from that embarrassment on Monday night. I like Dolphins.
Of course you do.
They've been killing the bad teams for the most part. I know they're way banged up right now, but I still think they're good enough to beat the Jets on the road.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah, I mean, the number kind of has come down because of the injuries. It's south of 10. You're looking at 8, 8.5. Bovada has it at -8. Circa has it at -8. I'll lay the 8 with you, Mitch. I just think, the Jets, I mean, they're coming off 3 home games. Now they're going on the road. That was a really good situation for them, last week as the home dog. Playing on the road off 3 home games, no thanks. I'll take Miami.
Jets, Jets. Done with the Dolphins, man. Last week was disgusting. I can't lay over here with the Dolphins. Yes, they have beaten up on the bad teams, but they're banged up, man. If they better hope Tyreek walk on that field, because if he don't, they might lose this game outright.
No chance.
Yes, chance. I'm not disregarding what the Jets did last week. That 30-6 win over the Texans was a beatdown. That was sound
at home
football.
In a rainstorm, torrential. Like you could not see from one end of the field to the other. It was raining so hard.
The other thing what was interesting about that game, it was 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah, it's
all the points were in the second half.
The Jets got the ball when it stopped raining for like 5 minutes. The Jets got the ball and scored a touchdown. Then it started pouring again, and they resumed.
I'm not throwing it out, man. I watched the Dolphins just sadly just die and whimper last week, and now they want me to turn around and lay it again. Can't do it. Won't do it. Nope. Give me the Jets in a division battle.
Well, another division battle out. We got the Cardinals and the 49ers. We saw the 49ers not cover last week in Seattle. In fact, they were never really close to covering in that game.
They covered the opener. The line moved during the week, and then they didn't, move too high, and then they didn't cover, cover the closing number.
I had the closing, so I was good.
No, I know. I just thought that was interesting because I think when we did our show on Wednesday, if I remember correctly, I think the line was 12, and I think it was a push for us on that Wednesday show. I think so because I remember thinking to myself like, God damn it, because I think I gave out Seattle on the show and it didn't count as a win because the line was lower earlier in the week. Anyway, I'm taking Arizona here. It's just, double-digit home dogs. It's automatic for me.
Jay?
I take them every week, man. I'm on the Cardinals. Let's do it. And I'm going to be completely honest. I need Kyler Murray to have a good game. He's my fantasy quarterback playoff start this week. Come on, Kyler. Let's get it done, man. Let's get it done. This just seemed like a flat spot for the Niners here. Like a game where they probably come here and win by like 6. They just kind of go through the motions and, we know we seen them stomp down their 2 main opponents in the NFC, Dallas and Philly. I see this as a game where division battle, Cardinals, who have been sneaky all season, man, sneak up on them and keep this game competitive like they did Pittsburgh, like they did Dallas. I'm on the Cardinals. I really need somebody to beat the Niners one more game. Let's see. Hold on. Before we move on, Niners got the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Commanders, and the Rams. Lamar got me next week. He got me. Lamar got me next week. But yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals.
I'm going to take the Cardinals as well. I don't love it. It's not like one of my top plays or anything like that, but I just think because I could see the Niners, a couple plays and covering late. I could just see them running it up late on them. So I think if that doesn't happen, it's Cardinals though. Commanders against the Rams. The Commanders, the wheels are off the cart here on this team as well, and the Rams. Well, you're never not sure what you're going to get from week to week anymore from these guys. Certainly played hard last week in that game against the Ravens. I thought they had a real good chance, but weren't able to finish. But now they're home against the Commanders, so I like them here, laying the big number, the Rams.
I'm going to look at the total. I look at how many points the Commanders have been giving up, the last several weeks. They're off 4 straight losses, and they've given up more than 28 points in those games. They lost 29-26 to Seattle. Then New York, upset them 31-19. On Thanksgiving, Jay's Cowboys blew them out, put up 45 points. Then Miami puts up 45 in the next game. When you get teams off 3 or more overs, where they've given up more than 30 points in those 3 games, they tend to then go have a low-scoring game. They've gone under the total 60% the last 44 years. And, I'm going to take the under.
Commanders for me. I told everyone at the start of the season the Rams would compete for a playoff spot, and everybody laughed at me. Now they've just become overrated. Stay true to who teams are. They're a team competing for a playoff spot, but they're not like 7 points with and we not finna sit here and act like we need the Rams to win by a touchdown. That's not the type team they are. It's the type game they compete, probably win by 4 or walk it off late with a late field goal. Like, we're one Matthew Stafford interception away from this being a game flipped on his head, and that's very likely of happening. Can't lay this amount of points with Los Angeles. Give me the Commanders. They always are, right when you write them off is right when the Commanders punch somebody in the mouth, and I think they punched the Rams in the mouth here. I'm going to grab the points.
We got the Bills and the Cowboys. The Bills are home favorite here against the Cowboys, who are thinking maybe they have a shot at the home field advantage in the playoffs.
They don't.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a stat. This is my Jay Briggs stat. I got this one just for Jay because of what we talked about a few weeks ago. I mean, I can give lots of reasons why I like Buffalo, but this is the stat I'm going to use. The Cowboys, 1-10 ATS on the road versus winning teams who were in the playoffs the previous season. 1-10 ATS. I'll take Buffalo.
That's a good one. But let's be for real. Let's stop this madness. I'm laying this up, man. I'm just. It don't even make sense. Underdog? We're the best team in the National Football League. And we're an underdog?
At home?
Man, we're the best team in the National Football League.
At home? Do it on the road.
And here it is right here. And let me tell you what's going to happen. After we literally go in here and beat the brakes off of them, they're going to turn around and act like Buffalo not a good team. That's what the national narrative is going to be, like they always do. And it's cool. They're going to say the Buffalo's a 7-7 team. They've only beaten one team above 500 all season, and that's Philadelphia. I can hear it now. We're going to beat the living hell out of Buffalo. Buffalo's not a good team. Buffalo has the same problem Philadelphia got. That back end, terrible. And you know why it's so terrible? Because they ain't got nobody back there. And that is a bad spot to be going up against the MVP, the guy leading the National Football League in touchdown passes, the guy who just been written off and just is getting it done. Hey, if you've been watching Dallas Cowboys football, you know this team is clicking on all cylinders. every position group, they going in here and beating the brakes off of Buffalo. I'm laying 6.5 with Dallas on the road.
I think I'm going to take the Bills. At least at this point right here, they're coming on strong at the end, and I don't know. It's just like a spot where the Cowboys are going to lose. They're not going to get the calls, and Jay's going to be like how I am. Jay's going to see why I am like I am from this one. So I'm going to roll with the Bills. I just think
Bills are not playing well. They're not. They beat the
they're
Jets.
winning games, and that's all that
They beat
matters.
the Jets. Then they lost to Philly on the road, and then they got lucky last week. Like, let's be for real. Let's be for real. It's over with.
They won at Kansas City. How about you can? I mean, there's two sides of the coin.
On a technicality, like no,
That's not a technicality. They won at Kansas City.
Man, they lost, man. That's for all I'm considering, man. We all saw Kelsey catch that ball, turn, throw it across the field to Tony, who ran it in for 6 later. You know what I mean? We saw
the flag was already thrown. It's not like the ref waited until after the touchdown to throw the flag. It was a play.
It shouldn't have been thrown.
What?
That's janky. You know, offside's only been called on a wide receiver like twice. And like
it shows just how stupid the play was.
Nah, you get a warning
because there's all the other wide receivers don't line up off sides, Jay. I mean,
you get a warning, man. You get a warning. Everybody knows that, man. Everybody knows it, and they should have gotten it. And when Andy Reid comes out crying, man, I'm rocking with him because Andy Reid is not one of them coaches. He not. So when he rocking with it, I'm rocking with him, and I believe in him. So I've been down on Buffalo all season, and the Buffalo Bills are my Los Angeles Clippers. That's what they are, and I'm just going to continue to fade them.
All right. Up next, Monday night or Sunday night football. So they did the opt-in on this one. So actually the game that was supposed to be is actually last on the list now, as it deserves to be.
Yeah.
So this one is the Jags and the Ravens, which means the Ravens 49ers likely not primetime next week. Here we go. Jags, Ravens. Jay?
Taking the Jags. Baltimore is the better team, but laying 3.5 in Jacksonville, like, come on, let's be for real. Can't do it.
It's 3.
I see 3.5.
Mainly, yeah, it's 3.5 at DraftKings, 3.5 at Bovada. It's 3.5 in some spaces. So
they offered me that hook. I'm grabbing it. Grab it. It might not even matter. This is another one of those ones where I said it's one of them weeks, man, where it's like might not even need the points. We got to kind of go boom or bust. I think the Jags went outright at home. The Ravens, they looked pedestrian last week. They looked beatable at home. They let an NFC team come in there and take them, to the brink. I'm taking the Jags. I'm gonna grab the hook, but I want I'm also gonna take Jags money line. Bounce back at home. I love taking good teams in bounce back spots, especially at home when the narrative is probably going the other way. Yeah, the Jags are still a solid team. They're gonna be right there in the thick of things in the AFC in the end. Shock the world. Give me Jags in this
one. I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think the Jags, like Jay thinks, like the Clippers are the most overrated. Or these guys are the most. Bills are overrated. The Jags are the most overrated, man. They are just straight garbage, and they have one of the most overrated, worst coaches in the NFL. Totally glossed over by Brandon Staley and some of the other douchebags that are out there. But this guy invented the bad strategy. This guy invented it. I'm all over the Ravens in this one. I think they just physically pound this bad Jaguars team. The Jags are so overrated, man. They are they're in the playoffs. They're going home in a hurry. Ravens all day.
I like this game for the Jaguars. I like how it sets up. Jay mentioned, good bounce back spot. I totally agree. Winning teams are 61% ATS at home off back-to-back losses if they weren't favored by more than a point. Catching 3.5. It's Jacksonville. For me.
Costi likes the Ravens, so I don't know.
Well, that's like Jay liking Dallas. I mean, it's the same difference.
All right. We'll let it go. Then the game that was opted out of the night spot. We don't see enough of these opt-outs, but at least they did it to this one. Patriots and the Chiefs. Chiefs, a lot of things we've been saying about them just really coming true.
Yeah.
Guys can't hold on to the football. I mean, there's a lot more to it than this guy, having his foot off sides. What about the million drops that these guys have all game? The Chiefs have the most drops ever under an Andy Reid coach team, and the season's not even over yet. That's how many drops they have. They've given Patrick Mahomes nothing to work with. But that being said, the Patriots are just they're garbage.
They are.
It's just, the line was a lot higher earlier in the week. It's come down. It's still about a half point too high. I mean, maybe it gets to 7 come game day. Currently sitting at 7.5. I just don't think you can lay 7 and a hook with Kansas City. And defending Super Bowl champions, when they're a road favorite versus an opponent off a win, they've gone 22 and 41 ATS versus non-division foes, including 0 and 11 ATS when laying more than 7. I'm going to take New England plus a 7.5.
I'm on the Chiefs. Chiefs been a thorn in my side recently too. I declared they wouldn't lose another game, and they've dropped back to back. They finna bounce back and beat the brakes off of New England now. And just put the league on notice, like, hey, bro, stop playing with us. Like, y'all cheated us last week. All right, watch this. This the Patrick Price. This the one where it's like Bill, like, yeah, the game's passed you by, man.
I don't think the game's passed him by. I don't think he has any talent on
the team. Just give him a quarterback. He's fine.
Yeah, I mean, not just even a quarterback. Look at all the injuries he's had on the defensive side. He's lost his best defensive player. Not just top defensive player, like his top 3 or 4.
The way this defense finna look this week, man, with these receivers.
Yeah, but I mean, he's lost his top guys. It's like
I know. But still.
I mean, you guys lose Dak Prescott, all of a sudden, that's an out for you. It's like, we didn't have Dak, But it's like this guy lost everybody, and he's got Mac Jones. This is the greatest coach of all time. He makes your coach look like the freaking janitor. I mean, it's not even close.
He's a great coach. He's a terrible GM.
He's a great coach. He is the greatest coach of all time.
He's the reason why the team is in this situation. He's the GM.
It's not.
Yes, he is
the greatest coach of all time. And I'll tell you this much. It's not even close.
His team is his team. Like, I don't care.
He is the greatest coach of all time. And it's not close. It's not close. Who's a better coach than him?
There's nobody above him making calls, making shots.
Who's a better coach than him? Who's a better coach? Who could do better with what he has to work with? Nobody.
I'm just saying. But Mitch, I'm not disagreeing with you, but you're disagreeing with the fact that these are the guys that he chose. He's the GM too. So, you know what I mean?
I don't think he is the GM.
He is. I know he is.
No, he has player personnel guys. He's got no way.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Look it up. Bill Belichick does the drafting. He does it all for New England. From top down. He runs all football operations.
De facto general manager.
Bill Belichick. Write it in. I'm taking the Chiefs here, man. This is Bill's fault. Greatness is not always great, man. You know, it's the moments that you are great that define the greatness. You know what I mean? You got to fall to be great.
But the thing is that
right now,
Jay, you look at the span. You look at the span that this guy's been the head coach. He's been drafting last for a long time. And it's like, you look at the span that he's been the head coach, and you look at your shit-ass team compared to his span over that many years, it ain't even close. I'll put my team up against him. It ain't even close. The only guy that you can put up that's fairly close to this and doesn't have the championships to close the deal is Don Shula, because when I was a kid, the Dolphins made the playoffs every single year. I mean,
I'm on the Brady train. I'm on the Brady train, so you don't want to have it.
You have no idea, man. Then this guy's won before. He's won before he got here. He won with Jeff Hostetler at his quarterback as the quarterback with the Giants. They won the Super Bowl twice with this guy. You think Bill Parcells' offense won it for the Giants? Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler? How about Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson? And I mean, this guy had, you never seen a defense like this before. I mean, Lawrence Taylor is like, that play on Joe Theismann, it was no fluke. It was no fluke at all, man. It wasn't like a fluke thing that happened to him or a weird thing with his leg. It was like, this guy was just, he drew up a scheme that this guy was coming in unblocked all the time. And it was like, he just would, they won the Super Bowl. The year they beat the Bills in the Super Bowl is one of the biggest upsets in the history of the modern era. I mean, it was the David and Goliath. The Bills were like scoring 1 million points that year, man.
Don't forget how big of an upset it was for them to beat the Rams. They were a 2-touchdown underdog versus
the Niners.
St. Louis Rams.
And the Niners. Oh, the Patriots and against the Rams with a backup quarterback. 2-touchdown underdog. Yeah, with a backup quarterback, man. It's like, how many coaches would have had the guts to take Tom Brady over Drew Bledsoe at that point? Zero. There's zero coaches that would have done that. This guy, he's not. It's not approachable to say that he is a bad coach. You could say he doesn't have a good team. He doesn't have bad players. This is the worst team he's ever had. You can say any of those things. You can't say the game is passed him by, because every situation where the grass is greener, 99.9% of the time, the team gets much worse after they get rid of the legend.
The reason I can say the game is passed him by is because he was the guy. We can walk through it. This is the same guy that was trying to walk through it. Tom Brady with Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's not forget. We could. There's a ton of instances of this guy not knowing what the hell he got going on, man. Like, let's be for real.
Jazz, I want to ask you a question. So he won the Super Bowl, 5 years ago?
Correct.
Just tell me how the game has changed in 5 years.
Okay, in that span, the game has went from defense can win you some shit to offense. And
never, ever.
The game hasn't changed in the last 5 years.
Win you anything.
Terrible.
Offense will never win you anything.
Disagree. This
offense
league is
will never win you anything.
Offense. There haven't been any significant rule changes for a while. The game hasn't changed.
There hasn't been one team that's ever won the Super Bowl with offense.
All you got to do is just look back at the past Super Bowl champions and look at
the
quarterback.
Who was the past Super Bowl champion?
Look at the quarterback of the team, and that tells you everything.
And look at the next 5 highest paid players.
That tells you everything you need.
And look at the next 5 highest paid players.
Mahomes.
And who's the second highest player?
Stafford. He had a hell of a year.
No, of the Chiefs.
I'm just saying, Mitch.
I'm just saying. Mahomes might get the money, but who are the next 5 highest paid players on that team?
I know it hurts to hear.
They're all defense. They're all defense.
Mitch is right. the true offensive juggernauts have never won the Super Bowl.
But the next 5 highest paid will be defense, unless there's a left tackle in there that makes some money. But outside of that, it's always the defense. Chris Jones is the second highest paid player on the Chiefs. I don't even have to look.
That doesn't mean that
he makes more money than God.
It's an offensive game. It is what it is.
No, it's never an offensive game. Never an offensive game. Never.
The Dallas Cowboys. The
have won nothing.
49ers.
Nothing.
They've won nothing. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
They've won nothing. Haven't even been close. Not even a whiff. Not even a whiff.
Even your Dolphins team is an offensive team. Like, let's be fair.
Right, and they could beat the fucking Titans.
Those aren't the teams that win the titles.
We're an offensive team.
No, they weren't. They were a defensive team. They were a defensive team.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were. They got rid of their best offensive weapon and won the Super Bowl. They are a defensive team. They got rid of their top threat and won the Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill was more expendable than Chris Jones. They made that decision. He was more expendable. Tyreek Hill,
because they had the
best quarterback in the league. Whole NFL wide receiver was more expendable than Chris Jones.
Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the offensive team has never won the Super Bowl, not once.
Yes, they did. They just did.
No, they didn't.
The Rams, trying to argue that Rams team was a defensive team? No.
Yes, they had the best defensive player in the league was on the Rams. Aaron Donald was the highest paid player on the field. He makes more than Stafford.
No.
Yes, he does.
No.
Yes, he does.
Cooper Kupp going absolutely insane that season. You forgot about OBJ. You forgot about the numbers Matthew Stafford was putting up. This is
he was knocked out in the first quarter.
Did y'all not remember the Buffalo Kansas City game, the back and forth, the offenses?
The Rams won on a bad call. They got beat. They won on a penalty. They didn't beat them. Their offense didn't do anything. They got beat on a penalty. They won on a penalty is how they won the game. They didn't do anything, that offense. They got stopped.
Defenses in the NFL this year. The Browns, they not finna do nothing.
When Patrick Mahomes didn't win on a penalty against the Bengals, the defense stuffed him out.
They'll never do nothing.
There's never been an offensive team that's won the Super Bowl, ever.
Who's the last defensive team that's done something?
The Chiefs.
Ray Lewis and them? Like, stop it. This is not
the Chiefs.
Football no.
The Chiefs. The Chiefs.
Mitch,
the Patriots.
The Patriots 6 times. A football team with arguably the greatest quarterback of all time and the greatest offensive play caller of all time, and Andy Reid, who's an offensive coach. We don't even have an argument.
Andy Reid is one of the greatest offensive play callers of all time. In what world? In what world?
Yes.
Did
you not see them just drop a play last week where they threw the ball across the field mid-play like it was rugby? What are you talking about?
In what world?
Yeah, the same Andy Reid that had Mike Vick, LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, and them out there. Man, stop it. What you mean, Andy Reid? Hey, I'm willing to go. Andy Reid is the best offensive coach to ever call in the NFL. What are you talking about? Andy Reid. Yes. The Chiefs are an offensive football team. This is an offensive NFL league.
Not even close. Running the football and playing defense is everything. It always will be.
So I brought up, in Super Bowl history, I brought up just looking at offensive scoring averages. Teams that averaged 32.75 points or more per game are 0-5 straight up and against the spread in Super Bowls. So the 5 biggest offensive juggernauts of all time did not win. Those were Denver with Peyton Manning. They got blown out by Seattle 43-8. You had New England in their undefeated season, lost to the hapless Giants 17-14. The Atlanta Falcons were a huge offensive team when they got the overtime loss in New England. In 1984, Washington was putting up buckets of points. They lost to the Oakland Raiders 38-9.
That's old.
And then Dan Marino in 1985. I'm just telling you, like if you just look at the best offensive teams, the 5 best offensive teams in Super Bowl history were 0-5.
Defense used to win championships. That used to be the same.
That's not used to. That's it's still
not the case anymore.
The highest paid player on the Chiefs, actually, Jay, as far as cap hit and as far as annual salary, is Chris Jones, and it's double.
Yeah, but the highest paid players in the NFL are the quarterbacks. Like, look at Mahomes' full contract. Like, it's not even an argument.
Because you're a fantasy football player, man. That's why you don't get it. That's why you don't get it. You win the fantasy league, you don't win the NFL league.
It definitely matters, but this is an offensive league. Like the
No,
defense.
fantasy football is an offensive league.
Trying to hold their jocks.
NFL has always been a defensive league, and it will continue to always be. It'll always be. It'll always be. So that Bucs team that won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, they were an offensive or a defensive team?
Offensive team.
Defensive team. They were a defense.
No, they were not.
Yes, they were.
No, they were not.
Yes,
they were not. Or
they were.
Jameis Winston would have took them to the promised land. There was a reason why they had to go get the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, to come down there, get the offense together, run it, and take them to the bowl. Like, what are we even talking about?
Look at this, but the numbers don't say the numbers say that the best quarterback of all time forgot what down it was in Chicago and they lost the game. That's what it says. The numbers say the defense led them to the championship, and they also say that the best quarterback of all time forgot what down it was and lost the game in Chicago. He didn't even know what down it was. He didn't even know, and they lost. He didn't know. He thought it was third down. It was fourth down. He couldn't believe it.
That was Brady. I'm just trying to tell you, man.
I'm telling you the reality of it because you play fantasy football.
38-35 last year. That's not – both teams were offensive teams. That was not no defensive game.
That's the rules.
You know what I mean? 23-20, 31-9. Yeah, Mahomes' offensive line had got banged up in that Super Bowl. We never remember what happened there.
Because the defense shut him down. The defense shut him down.
Last
it was a defensive team
that really did something, probably New England. And
so the 23-20 with the 23-20, the Bengals and the Rams that ended on a defensive penalty. That wasn't a defensive game?
Those were two offensive teams, though, that turned into that. The Rams and the Bengals are not going to say
Aaron Donald makes the most money because the Rams are an offensive team.
Company, like, what are we talking about?
The Rams went out and they traded 2 first-round draft choices for Jalen Ramsey. The Aaron Donald was the highest paid player on the team, but they were an offensive team.
Guys, defense wins championships in football. It's so
not just a saying; it is what it is.
And the Rams were average. You know, Jay, you mentioned that game.
Just like the transfer portal, Colorado. It's old, man. You guys are too old. It's like it's changed. It's changed. It is not changing. It never will.
The Rams were averaging over 32 points a game. They got 3 in the Super Bowl versus New England. Okay, there's how important the offense is right there.
That was one of the last ones.
So the high-scoring game between the Patriots and the Falcons, what was the key play in the game? Offensive or defensive?
Offensive. It was the Julian Edelman play in the middle of the field.
No, it was not. The key play of the game was the strip sack.
I don't want to hear it. It was that Julian Edelman play. It was.
No, because if they didn't get the strip sack, the Falcons get the field goal there, and it's a 2-possession game with not enough time left on the clock.
In that ball game or whatever it was. I remember. It was like, wasn't it like third down?
The Edelman play didn't matter. They were still going to lose. It came down to the Falcons were up by 7, and they were in Patriots territory. They were headed towards a field goal. Strip sack. Patriots recovered the fumble, and they drove down and tied the game and put it into overtime. That was what happened.
You need a good defense in order to do anything. But now in today's league, if your offense can't get you 24 points, it's not going to matter.
You're misguided. You're misguided.
All right. If you can't get 24, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
Patriots won 14-3 3 years ago.
It wasn't 3. That was what? 4? That was 5. 2019? 4.
4 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Now you're negating the fact that they still had the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, Tom Brady. That happened.
He didn't hold them to 3 points.
He didn't.
He did not have a good game either.
Just letting you know, man.
He didn't have a good game. He completed 1 big pass the whole game. That was it. That pass to Gronk. That was it. The year, it could be argued up and down, but the numbers are the numbers, and it's like really you can't argue with data. Anyways, I think to call
Philadelphia,
Bill
Seattle.
Belichick that the game is passed him by is hardly a fair statement considering the lineup that he has, because I think the Patriots are terrible this year. This is the worst team he's ever had, but
handpicked by him.
No, this isn't who he handpicked to start for him. And this is kind of the leftovers. Kind of like these are kind of like the leftover guys. Imagine if Dak was out.
Give me the GM over Bill Belichick, the GM any day of the week.
You lost like one of your key players early in the season, right, Diggs? But imagine if you lost Micah Parsons. Would you guys be where you were?
Even perfect example. Imagine losing Diggs, one of the best corners.
But
in the league.
He's only one side field.
So well, the drafting so well.
Didn't lose a corner. They lost their best defensive overall player.
Your number 4 corner drafting so well that your number 4 corner comes out and breaks the NFL record for pick sixes ever.
Because they'll throw at his side. The other one is because they only throw at his side. The other one. I mean, the guy who leads the league in interceptions is your worst corner. Right, because they're only willing to throw that way, so he has more opportunities to get interceptions. That's why he has that many. The other thing is that if the Patriots lost Joe Judon, they lost a couple other big defense.
They lost Gonzalez. Yeah,
they lost their defense. If the Cowboys lost Micah Parsons, if that's the equivalent of Micah Parsons for the Cowboys defense, who is basically the whole defense. And, they would lose every time. I mean, they would lose half the games. They'd be, we don't have Parsons. It's a defensive league, man. It always will be. Running the football and playing defense.
Bye-bye, Bill.
Yeah, it's fine. He's the greatest head coach of all time. He's way better than the sack of shit you guys got. You guys have the worst fucking coach.
McCarthy.
Aaron Rodgers. I'm not playing for this guy. He's a piece of shit. That's what he said. Who'd you rather have, Aaron Rodgers or McCarthy? The Packers said Aaron Rodgers 100 out of 100 times.
McCarthy.
Because he's won so much for you.
And Aaron has either.
He's won a Super Bowl.
And so has McCarthy. You forgot?
Yeah, because he had Aaron Rodgers. Once he didn't have him, look what he was.
I could say Aaron Rodgers had McCarthy.
Tough to say that because Aaron Rodgers' overall record is way better than McCarthy's. It's not even close.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I do know. It's not even close. It's not even close.
I don't know.
I do know.
McCarthy's record's 165 and 100.
And what's Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know.
Probably
I can look. Hold on.
Like somewhere right in there. Most of it was they were together, so it wasn't just
148, 75, and 1.
So yeah, it's slightly better.
It's better.
Slightly.
66%.
Shout out A-Rod.
You're looking at games that he played, not when he was injured, right?
Yep, as a starter.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, this is an interesting discussion. We got the Seahawks and the Eagles. We'll pick this one up, I think.
Yeah.
At some point. We'll get Ruffolo in the middle of it. That's why he calls in sick. We'll wait till Kyle Kerms will have us back. We'll do it on his show. We'll reenact it. I don't think he wants us back. And got in touch with me. How about you, Jay? Does he ask you to be on?
He actually did like a couple times last week, but I was so busy. I went to Vegas and all that. So I ain't heard from him this week, but we'll see. I'll talk to my guys.
I think he's sick of us. God, Eagles and the Seahawks. I don't know. Eagles on the road here in Seattle. To me, it just seems like one of those spots where you just take Seattle in the points and Eagles probably win late.
I think this game's comparable to that Washington Commanders game I talked about a little while ago. You have an Eagles defense not playing very well. They've given up 34, 42, and 33 points their last 3 games. But NFL teams that have given up more than 30 in their 3 previous games, they've gone under the total 60%. I'm taking the under.
I'm with you on the under, Big Al. Quietly kept. I ain't heard enough about it. The Eagles offense didn't score a single touchdown last week. They didn't do it. They got shut down. And y'all already know how I feel about Geno and company in that offense. I think this is a fake offensive game where the defenses actually shine. Taking the under here in this one too with Big Al. I would lean in the direction of Philly, but where points are a premium, 3 and a hook on the road, I'm not betting Seattle. And I do think the Eagles win the game, so that's where I'm at. I would love to see Seattle win this thing, though. I would love to see that happen.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. It was an interesting show, as always. Got a little off topic, but made it in well under 2 hours, which is respectable. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week. I'll be back home for that one. And just a couple weeks left to go in the regular season. Playoffs should be interesting, too, the way they're doing it. Once again, Monday night, we got Peacock Network, all kinds of stuff going on, right? You have the Peacock app, anyone? I don't have it.
I don't have it.
I don't either. Stream East. I know I get it for free, the Peacock app, but I'm protesting. I don't want it. I don't want that crap. Why are they doing it? What's the point? I think so they can get our data. Is that what it is? Probably. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it a winning day. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll see you next week, Wednesday, our normal time, 3 o'clock Eastern.
Peace.